Agricultural drone spraying is exploding across the country as farmers look to reduce costs and improve the efficiency of growing their crops. But what about insurance? Here are my top 5 best agricultural drone insurance tips for 2023. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of BWI Fly Live. My name is Matt White. I'm the owner of BWI, and we insure over 7,000 aircraft, and we're one of the largest commercial drone insurance brokers in the country. With agricultural drone use growing exponentially and the introduction of the DJI AgRest T40, I thought now would be the perfect time to share my top 5 agricultural drone insurance tips. So let's get started. Number 1, what does agricultural drone insurance cover? I want you to remember 3 things: liability coverage, physical damage coverage, and chemical liability coverage. Liability coverage is the base coverage on every commercial drone insurance policy. Specifically, it protects the drone owner or business from the legal liability that comes with owning and operating a drone. In other words, if your drone causes bodily injury or property damage and you are legally held liable for this damage. Physical damage coverage is an optional add-on coverage that covers damage to the drone itself or any attached equipment. If your drone hits a tree and gets damaged, you lose connection and it falls into the water, or even if it gets stolen. This is all covered under physical damage coverage. Next is chemical liability coverage. This is coverage for the liability of property damage caused by your drone for property not owned by the person or place that you are spraying for, also known as drift damage to another field. How much does it cost? A liability-only commercial drone insurance policy typically starts at around $500 for $1 million in liability coverage and goes up depending on the amount of liability coverage you need. We can offer up to $50 million in liability coverage. For physical damage coverage, which covers damage to the drone and any equipment attached, the rate is typically between 8 to 12% of the amount of coverage you're looking for. So if you're insuring a $25,000 DJI AgRest, for chemical liability coverage, to add $100,000 in chemical liability coverage, for example, it's going to increase the price of your drone insurance policy by about $3,500. Number 3, what information do we need to get a quote from us? We need to know what make and model drone you're using, what liability, physical damage, and chemical liability amounts you're looking for. What training does each pilot have specific to the make and model drone we're insuring, and do they have their Part 107 license? How many hours a month will you be utilizing the drone? What chemicals will you be spraying? How many hours a month will you be utilizing the drone? What chemicals and specific uses will you be using the drone for? And how much experience do you have in these specific UAS application types? Number 4, do we require an FAA Part 137 exemption to get an agricultural drone insurance policy? The FAA Part 137 exemption is required by law for all drones dispensing chemicals and agricultural products. We strongly recommend that you apply for one as soon as possible because they can take up to a year for the FAA to process. And number 5, how do you get the very best agricultural drone insurance rates and coverages? I have 2 tips for you. Number 1, make sure you know clearly what coverages you're looking for and what are the job site requirements of the jobs you'll be bidding for. The more information we know about what liability limits or chemical liability limits you may need, the better we can set up your insurance quote to make sure you have the right coverages for your unique use. Number 2, make sure that you get with an insurance broker that specializes in agricultural drone insurance or aviation insurance. Brokers like BWI, for example, work with agricultural drone businesses all day long, and we have great underwriter relationships and company connections to make sure you get the best insurance rates and coverages. That's it. Thank you for watching and staying till the end. If you are looking for agricultural drone insurance, call the experts at BWI. Our agents are highly trained and we work with some of the top agricultural spraying drone companies in the country. You can email me directly, matt@bwifly.com. Thank you for trusting BWI and fly safe.